Today we finished up day 4 of the MIT Logistics and Supply Chain AI class, and what I want to do in this video is just take a couple minutes and kind of recap as I've been doing previous days and just go over what we covered today and also what we're beginning to work on for the group project. Again, in the morning we had a couple lectures, then we had a lab in the afternoon, and then we spent time kind of late afternoon going over our group project. And tomorrow we have to present where we're at currently, and I'll speak to that in a little bit. And then we're gonna have to finish up the group project by next week. And essentially we have a ton of data ranging from barge, road, as well as rail data. And then we also have import-export data for states that kind of connect to the Mississippi River and various rivers connecting to the Mississippi River. So I'll speak to what I put together in terms of my forecast, but let's first go over what we touched on. So today's lecture was mainly about feature engineering to model major time series components, so trends, seasonality, and cycles. And then there was visualization with time series plots, and we created forecasting hybrids that combine the strengths of complementary models, and then we adapt machine learning methods to various forecasting tasks. We also had a Walmart scenario again today to create a supply chain analytics department. We went over what is a time series, the importance of time series forecasting in supply chains, linear regression with time series, time step features versus time series features, trend, linear regression with time step features, time plot, went over the code for that, model, time step features and time dependence, lag plot, time series features and serial dependence, trend, moving average plot, deterministic process, seasonality, seasonal plots, seasonal indicators, linear regression with seasonal indicators. We had a case example where we did a sales prediction forecast, calendar Fourier analysis, modeling seasonal features with linear regression, exogenous features, modeling those, time series as features, removing seasonality in Python, de-season sales, PACF. Let me see what else we got here. Examine time series features, leading indicator, promotion as a leading indicator, and then cross-validation and hybrid models. That's pretty much what we touched on today. And then I want to briefly go over a little bit about our group project. So it's essentially a barge forecasting example that incorporates how much is going to be shipped on the barge, and there's a ton of different data. Again, as I mentioned, we have all these states and their import data. We need to figure out how it's going to be transported by barge. There's weather data, fuel price, there's costs associated with going on the barge as compared to road. The barge takes 21 days. The road takes 7, so there's all these different factors. Obviously, weather, a flooding event could change the way that you move through the Mississippi River and various rivers. A drought can also affect that, for example. So what I did was create a step-by-step plan for barge export forecasting. A member of our team created a slide deck. So I then took that slide deck and created a list of 8 steps to begin building out the model. So these steps are: clean and prepare the data. Second step is exploratory data analysis Then we get into feature engineering in step 3. Step 4, define the forecasting objective. Step 5, choose forecasting model. Step 6, train, test split, and model training. Step 7 is model evaluation. And then step 8, deployment and recommendations. So what I did was go through and kind of break those steps down, and I had an idea based on what we did in the lab, kind of how I wanted to build this model. So I came up with the logic behind it, and then I leveraged OpenAI to begin building out the model. So I'm not going to be able to show you this just because I have it on my laptop here, but I went in and leveraged ChatGPT to build this code. It was about 600 lines by the time it was all done. But what it came up with were clean barge exports in terms of cleaning the data initially. There was a combined forecast output. We had the engineered barge data, evaluation metrics, forecast to the XGBoost output, which is a library we use to do our forecasts. We had a future forecast with XGBoost. Then we had monthly export target. And then there were top ports, top shippers in terms of visualizations, and then a monthly export trend visualization. And I would show you those, but it doesn't really matter. Those are high level, kind of what I came up with. I may do another video kind of walking through that code specifically so you can see the high level. That's basically what we covered today, and we're going to be finishing up this forecast. There's a number of different ways to do these forecasting methods is what I'm learning. It's a kind of an art, not necessarily a science. Obviously there is science involved, but there's a number of different ways to do this, and you're forecasting into the future, and we don't know what factors are going to come into play. So none of us completely know what the future is going to hold. So there's not one true exact right method to go about this with. So we're learning XGBoost in terms of our modeling for the forecasting. I'm excited to kind of dive into that further with regards to demand forecasting, inventory management, specifically for the cold chain, and other sectors as well. And I'm a finance undergrad, so it's crazy how much these libraries and models could apply to investment analysis, projecting future returns of portfolios depending on how they're allocated between fixed income, stocks or equities, and alternatives. Like, you could really get pretty technical forecasting your investment returns based on historical data and economic data, which is updated frequently by the day, and also interest rate data. So that's kind of a tangent. What I'm focused on is more supply chain logistics currently in terms of the forecasting. One thing worth noting, we haven't really done much with regards to the routing aspect of my dissertation research, but I am seeing ways to potentially apply some of these concepts we're going over towards the routing. But it'll definitely help for the demand forecasting and knapsack problem, inventory management component of what I'm doing. So I'm just decided to continue learning. There's a bunch of learning I have to do. I'm a ways away from being an expert, and it's a little bit discouraging at times because I have such a long ways to go. But I'm just going to try to take a step at a time. And then the beautiful thing about ChatGPT or OpenAI is it can come up with code for you, and then it can also explain it back line by line. So it really increases your learning curve. And what I'm going to do tonight is get a sandwich and then go back and just try to go through the model that I built, have it explain it to me line by line so I can understand that structure, but also get more creative with different ways to build new models. So this is definitely a very challenging class. I've taken some very challenging classes in my PhD so far. This is definitely up there, but it's just new material. It's not stuff that you can't learn with practice. So I'll just try to continue to put in reps and get a little bit better every day. As I mentioned in earlier videos, very grateful to be here learning this. I'd like to potentially come back do some research at some point. I'm not really sure if that's going to be an option or not. A lot of the folks here are way ahead of where I'm at in terms of some of their skill sets with regards to coding, but I am fairly creative and I'm a decent researcher. So one thing that kind of differentiates me, I want to actually apply it to real life in terms of building solutions for companies and learning what their problems are and trying to build software around that down the road and solutions. So it's pretty much all I have. Grateful to God for being able to be out at MIT learning a topic that I'm fascinated with. And I'll just try to keep getting better each day and keep documenting this journey along the way. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.